Here we are.
We're back. Hoping this internet signal, keeps up at the hotel.
Yeah, I think so.
Here in Tupelo. So yeah, man, go ahead and roll that music and we'll get rolling. Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to another episode of To the Top Talk, brought to you by Katie Bailey with Dunbar Real Estate. To the Top Talk is the original and longest running Southern Miss podcast in the market. We're recording this episode on
August the 27th
from beautiful Mississippi, because I'm in North Mississippi and Pilo's in South. And then there's another guest that's going to join us is even further south.
We'll have the whole state covered.
The entire state is covered tonight. Here, as always, with your break from the High Resource 5 propaganda to talk a little Southern Miss athletics. I'm your host, Jason Bailey. Joining me now, the guys on the ones and twos, the guy who really makes the entire thing work, Patrick Lowry.
Hey, glad to be back. Yeah, I mean, when I hit go live, I had my fingers crossed that this was going to work. So it looks like we are. Our blue check mark is in, and we are rolling. So yeah, if you guys want to comment on the stream, we can see that. We'll throw it up. If you have questions, hopefully, I see Jeremy Burke is listening in on our Twitter space. If you want to talk and join in, Jeremy, if you can hear us, just give us a message. Let us know. Everything's working on that side. Sometimes we have a couple issues on that. I think I have it figured out. But yeah, we'll get back in the swing of these live episodes.
Today's episode is brought to you by Katie Bailey of Dunbar Real Estate. Something to show, something to list, something to sell. Call Katie today at 601-408-9980. Katie Bailey, your real estate agent for the Pine Belt. Any house, anywhere, anytime. Call today. Also, you're brought to you by Hub City Eats. For all of your greater Hattiesburg suggestions for what's good on the menu, make sure you visit Hub City Eats before you go. I just got back from the Blue Canoe. It's not in Hattiesburg.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm at a town and I don't exactly know where to go, I've heard of the Blue Canoe.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out it's not far from the hotel where I am. But, as soon as first of all, I asked you. I said, hey, where should I go?
Yeah.
You said, people was like, go there, get this.
Yep.
Just laid it all out. So I tweeted out when I got there just a picture of a beer and a very small picture of a bar, like the draft section, right?
Yeah.
Within like 3 seconds, Boudreaux was like, Blue Canoe. Yeah. And then he's like,
awesome.
The burgers are legit. I got this thing called crack fries.
Yeah.
And the surf and turf burger.
Nice.
Had to get a go box.
Me and the wife, we went to Bella tonight. It was excellent. Been a little while since I've been there.
In my neck of the woods.
Yeah, it was great though. Man, it was so good. Chicken
Midtown
marsala
Hattie
was on point. Yep.
If you do get in on the X space tonight, if you're listening and you want to talk, the three things that we've had planned to ask you for like the last 3 weeks, we could never get our crap together to go live. We want to know what you did all summer. What player are you most looking forward to watching this year on the football team? And what's the Southern Miss football record going to be? So if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know, I'd like to call, but I'm not real positive. I don't know what I would say.
Yeah.
Those
couple
are three
things.
things.
Yeah, we can
Pretty
throw
easy.
that up on a banner.
Just
We'll make
hit that,
that.
and we'll. So, and if you want to get in on on that action tonight, join on the X platform in the X space. That's the only way that you'll be able to actually speak with us using your voice. Other ways, you obviously the people that are commenting now, Ted's on YouTube, Travis Norman's chiming in from Ocean Springs on Facebook. Hattiesburg Hippie is using the X space, so all three spaces are getting used right there. But we're going to try to cut this thing off after an hour. So if you want in, do not wait. Just go ahead and get in while you can. We're trying not to be here all night long. I do have to get up and do work stuff in the morning. A special guest will join us, and we have already confirmed that. So he'll be joining us. Pilo will be sending out that invite shortly.
Mm-hmm.
If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can go ahead and do that. Comment and leave a review too. That really helps us out. What happened since the last time we recorded? Well, Pilo, he'll get into this a little bit. He had all kinds of fun. Went to the Braves game with the great Trey Sutton, still the hit king. So I believe you watched a couple games over there, and then follow that up with our good buddy Chad Dickens down at the Make-A-Wish thing at Fallen Oak.
Yep.
I mean,
it was a great time.
Tough life. Right?
Look, you get so many PTO days, you got to use them wisely, and this makes it 3 weeks in a row. I only have a 4-day work week, a Friday, a Monday, and next week's Labor Day. So got to be strategic with that PTO.
Very good. My son and I went to the Southern Miss father and son baseball camp, and let me tell you, if you're a father, yes, you have to. This is the first time we've done it. This year they did move it to a later time. I think in the years past, it's been from like 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in August. Right?
Yikes! Yeah,
it's like too hot to go swimming. So much less be on the turf out there at the Pete. But we went. Of course, I've sent him to Southern Miss camps before, and just stayed in the stands and watched him for a little while. But I actually got to participate in this one. It's so well done.
That's awesome. It's
just so well done. Oz and the guys, the entire baseball team was out there because there was over 200 people that went to this camp. It was just people. It was great. It was so great. I wish I could remember all of the people that I ran into, but it was great. Other things that happened: Golden Eagle Welcome Week. It came and went. That's the goo, right? Goo.
Yeah. Look, I'll never ever forget that. Mine.
So you got to do it
20 years ago, painting the Eagle Walk. Oh yeah, I got to do it.
They started that right after I think that I got here. So what year was that?
That was 2004.
Okay, I was 97.
So yeah, so we got to do it, but we would paint 10-yard sections. So now they've got it like segmented off. Back when we did it, it was the Wild West, and it was whoever could fill up their 10-yard section the fastest was the winner. And you got like a T-shirt that says "I painted the Eagle Walk" or something. And I remember that as soon as we had to wear boots, and you had to wear like a hell or something. Anyway, all I remember was running out, hitting a thing of paint, my feet going out from under me, and I went flat on my back in the middle of Eagle Walk and got paint in my mouth.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great time. But then after that, they had showers for people to get paint off of them, and it was like a monsoon, like one of those summer showers, and everybody was just out. Like I was like, this is awesome. Like everybody was just standing out there, just like getting all the paint off of them. It was an amazing time. But yeah, it's changed a lot, but it is one of the coolest traditions for the freshmen to get to paint the Eagle Walk. So
neat, for sure. And we did get to game week. You can go ahead and send that invite right now, Pilo.
Okay.
But we did get to game week. Football season is officially here. The first depth chart has been released, and I have a few questions for our guest when he gets on about this depth chart. Number one, there's no Superback on there. Okay, so I guess that's just a thing of the past. Even though we got some players that can still pull off the Superback. So will the Superback show its face this year? We will need to ask our guest whenever he gets on. So the deal with the punter streak, if you guys have been following along, we had 3 punters on. So 3 weeks ago, we had Peter Bain. We talked about the collective and a bunch of other stuff. Peter's great and one of the smartest dudes alive. And then the week after that, we had Luke Johnson. We had Luke Johnson because Luke's going into the M Club Hall of Fame, and he knows everything that there is to know about football and follows Southern Miss super close. Used to be on the Eagle Hour, and so at that point we had a punter streak, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know what we were going to do for our next punter, but then we saw Mason Hunt walking around at the scrimmage, and we coerced him into coming on the pod. So we had a punter streak going. That's a full-fledged 3 streak. And I wouldn't say it's completely out of the question tonight, but it's like a super long shot, like longer shot for the punter streak continuing than it is Southern Miss to beat the Wildcats in a few days, I think. So we'll see if it ends up materializing, but I would not count on it. If you're out there right now and you are a punter and you did play at Southern Miss,
You better call in. Join the Twitter space.
you can do
Let
it.
us know.
You can, or if you know somebody, if you're listening right now and you know somebody that punted at Southern Miss, hit them up. Tell them to join this space so we can keep the streak going. If that hadn't happened, the messages I sent out, it still says sent. It doesn't say received or delivered or whatever the next thing is after sent.
Right.
So I don't know if that's going to work out. We'll update a few.
I think our guest is here, but
Okay.
keep finish that sentence. So just going to let you know.
Okay. So while you're doing that, I will update a couple of these comments. Travis Norman says hello. Ted Campiso, good to hear from Ted from down there in New Orleans. We mentioned Travis Norman as in Ocean Springs. Hattiesburg Hippie, time to light it up. I'm just assuming that he's in Hattiesburg. Sidebar, real quick, with the Hattiesburg Hippie. So while I was at the bar tonight at the Blue Canoe in Tupelo, there are people to my right that were in town visiting. And so they're asking the bartender, where all they should go while they're here. And of course, even though I have on my Southern Miss shirt, they don't really mention anything about that. He's like, well, if you're going to go to a game, we got football starting up this week in Oxford and Starkville. And that just goes on for a little while, and I just can't help myself. So finally I was like, hey, I live in Hattiesburg, man. I was like, you ever heard of that? And they were like, yeah. So that's where Southern Miss is. And they were talking about what kind of people are. The bartender had mentioned how bougie it was in Oxford. And, you might cost you an arm and a leg for a cover charge to get in and everything. And I said, hey man, let me just butt in. Here's how it went down back in the 60s when people were deciding where they wanted to go to college. When every college kind of took the form that it's in now. What I was always told is the preppy people went to Oxford, the rednecks went to Starkville, and the hippies went to Hattiesburg. I don't think you can really argue that, right? So if you got to pick from those 3, I know where I land. I land in hippie land. So it reminded me of when I saw the Hattiesburg hippie. My mom has chimed in from down in Long Beach, Mississippi.
Yep.
Okay, Ted Campiso. Summer was spent working. Let's put Ted up. Summer was spent working and took the wife to Ohio for a concert, but did see the Reds and Guardians play. Hoping Tate Rodemaker plays well. 6-6 or 7-5 could be better or worse depending. Boy, spot on. 1,000% agree with Ted.
I think that's solid. I think a lot of people are in that camp, Ted. I think we'll probably have a lot of games close. That's just how we do it. And it's a coin flip either way at the end. If we can close out games, maybe we could get to 8-4. If not, then, we just have to be able to finish strong. So we'll see.
We just want to prove that we belong, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
No more South Owls from last year. God. So painful.
Yeah, we can't come out flat. I know that for sure.
Oh,
we need
I can't believe we hit a pod the week after that.
Yep.
I don't want to go back and listen to that one.
No.
Ever again.
Oh, but that was the easiest pick I had this week on the pick'em. We're gonna keep the tradition going.
Well, I forgot about the pick'em. So whenever the pick'em rolls up, I'm extremely unversed.
Yeah.
But we did book a guest. Is he here?
He's here. Yeah, we'll get him in.
Okay, we do have a guest. He's one of our favorite guests every year. He's a writer for the Sun Herald, covering Mississippi Gulf Coast high schools and Southern Miss sports. He's a longtime Sun Belt Conference follower as he graduated from Troy. His handle on Twitter or the X platform is at Scott Watkins TU. We got to change that. He lives on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and is joining us right now. Welcome to the show, Scott Watkins. What's up, buddy?
What's up? Thank you guys for having me. Having a good time already.
It's one of our most looked forward to shows every year. I think it seems like you're on a couple times a year. Maybe like if something great's going on in Southern Miss land, it's always before football, and then if we're kicking some ass in one of the other sports, we get Scott on. We'll talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Scott, what's up? Long time no talk. How has your summer been? And how you doing?
It's been good. Getting through the year. Really excited that football is finally back and something to work on. The hardest part of the job is summertime, when you're just kind of pulling stuff out of your butt for content. So finally, the content will just come to me, and I'm excited about it.
No doubt. So in the open there, we mentioned that you covered high school and USM sports, but unless my memory has abandoned me, you dabble in other areas as well. I think you did a food segment or restaurant segment of some sort last year. You still doing that?
Yeah, every week I go out to a restaurant and then I write up a little review, I guess.
Absolutely.
And, put that out every week. It's a pretty fun time.
Have you ever been to the Blue Canoe?
I've never been to the Blue Canoe. Where's that?
Have you been to Salt Pepper Oak in Pass Christian? Barbecue place.
Yeah, I have been there. Yeah. Pretty fire.
Yeah. I played in a strip down there.
Pepper Oak.
Yeah.
Well, it's 2 for 2 on the recommendation, so I think that I will visit that next time that I'm down there. Look, you tweeted out the Game 1 depth chart, and you made note that there is no starting quarterback yet. What do you make of that, and what do you expect to happen on the first offensive series versus Kentucky?
I'm not too surprised that there's no starting quarterback on there, especially with the Monday depth chart. Never the official one. Competition Tuesday rolls around the next day, and then they update it on Wednesday. I would expect Tate Rodemaker to trot out there. First off, I think that he finished camp really strong, and Ethan Crawford had a couple of rough days there at the end. So I think he's got the leg up, and I think he's at least the best opportunity to be competitive in this first game at an SEC location.
Good deal. So what are your thoughts on Tate? Like I've been to a couple scrimmages and I've just read a ton. But when I laid eyes on him, he's taller than I thought. It looks like he can make the three. It looks like an NFL quarterback, right? Maybe that needs to put on a little bit of weight, but he's one of those guys that he looks the part, and he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, right? This is a very big year for a lot of different reasons. So what are your thoughts about Tate and his ability to play, and how do you think his season is going to go?
Yeah, Tate is a tall guy. I think he's 6'4". Really high IQ guy, and just a really steady person as well. He's somebody that in his career at Florida State has had to step into some pretty heavy situations as well, and did fairly well managing the offense. So I think that's really important, and I think that's what drew Will Hall in. Hall seems to really value just IQ and understanding of offense really highly with in recruiting, and that's what I think that's what Tate is. I think Tate's somebody who probably grasps the offense very quickly and very quickly becomes a leader, and that's what gives him the leg up in this race. And if he can snag and hold on to that position, QB1, stays healthy, and the offensive line, completely remade, of course, holds up, we could finally see the first consistent season under Will Hall with just the one quarterback. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, you saw his name a lot on Twitter this past weekend. Obviously, I think there was a lot of Florida State fans that are kind of wishing he was still in the whatever their colors are. I don't know officially what they're called, but you know what I'm talking about.
And the feathers and the chops.
Yeah, there we go.
Biggest surprise out of fall camp in your eyes?
Biggest surprise, I think, might have to be Will James emerging in the secondary, and that's a group that has a ton of guys with a ton of experience. So to see him sitting over somebody like Brendan Tolles on the depth chart, I think that if you're a fan, that's a really good takeaway because you know what you have in Tolles, and you know that he's one of the better coverage corners on the team. For a redshirt freshman to emerge like that and take the lead and be the number one guy week one out of fall camp, that's huge. That is surprising. And I think that is a big bonus that Southern Miss is getting heading into this year.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, do we want to jump into the depth chart a little bit?
We got it right here, Scott, and since it's fresh on your mind too, what sticks out? I mentioned, I don't know if you heard the opener or not, but I mentioned that there's no superback listed, right? And then of course you got a bunch of oars everywhere. You got the oar at quarterback, you got the oar at wide receiver. So there's a lot of things on here, but when you first saw the depth chart, just what kind of jumped out at you?
Well, a lot of faces on the offensive line that are new. Of course, knew who they were, but seeing them and then seeing guys that you kind of expected to be on top of the depth chart to be in that second spot a little bit there. Zach Conte's going to back up at left guard. LeBron Pollard and Luke Rogers there right guard, backing up Drew Lawson and Dante Lucas. And then the line, really the whole defensive scheme is different. And that kind of jumped out because we're of course switching to this 4-2-5, and you've made some changes in the secondary. Putting Dylan Lawrence at Stinger is, I think, a perfect fit. It is an absolutely perfect fit. That's an outside linebacker, safety hybrid position, and that's a guy who's very long, very athletic, and very strong. He's going to be in a position where it's kind of the star role where he's around the line of scrimmage a lot. He can move around a lot, zone coverage, blitz, a lot of different things, run support. That I think also stood out to me, and of course Will James. That was the other thing. Those three things were the first thing that I took note of.
I'm looking at the right side of this depth chart here, and the right side is the defensive side. I'm looking at Kristen Booth, graduate. Bradarius Lewis or D'Amico Rowland, graduate. Jalen Williams, graduate. Jaleel Clemens, grad. 3, 4, 5 more of those, and then a senior mixed in with Jay Jones, all as starters in the week one depth chart. So that's a lot of older players on the roster. Do you think that experience will help Southern Miss chances, and does that just inherently, does it provide the leadership that you think that's necessary just from an age standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, of course it does. And that's something that also levels the playing field a bit. And that's something that the transfer portal and then the COVID year as well kind of teetered things when it came to experience and what teams had. You really saw this in baseball a lot when you're facing these SEC teams, and everyone out there should be playing AA baseball, but they're still dressed in a Tennessee Volunteers uniform.
Yeah.
With football, it's not as bad, but you still have situations where some teams are just going to hoard the most experienced talent. They're going to win the transfer portal every year. When you have a team that is just kind of naturally growing together like this, and they're all at a point where they're all graduates and they're all seniors together, that means a lot. There's a lot of chemistry. There's a lot of depth. And of course, like you said, there's a lot of leadership. So yeah, that absolutely makes a difference. And you hope that shows up in moments like all the one-score losses last year, like South Alabama getting away last year. That's where you hope that kind of thing makes a difference.
Let's don't talk about that South Al. That was just so much pain. So much pain.
We've moved on.
I don't know how you equate that South Al loss. Like it was so bad that I think it was easier, maybe. Was it easier to do that one or like a last second field goal where we lost? I don't know. Bad taste in my mouth. Some newcomers on the team. That was all the older guys, right? And I think that's going to provide a lot of leadership. I mean, I think back to when I was in college, and it seemed like the people that were like 22 when I was 18 were so much more mature than I was, So that's got a lot to do with it. But you also get the guys sometimes that as soon as they step on campus, can make a difference just right out of the gate. So what are some of the newcomers that you think will play? You mentioned Will James, but and some of the other ones that can make a positive impact on the season.
Yeah, if we're just talking true freshmen, I think a really interesting one that Will Hall just raves about all the time. Everyone knows about it. Reed Jesse Olowski. I don't think fullback has really been an actual position on the depth chart in the past. Jerron Bedford is also a former tight end as well. So the way that Hall talks about Jesse Olowski is somebody who he can line up in a lot of different places. So that's the true freshman that I think you're going to see quite a bit throughout the year. Chris Jones at linebacker might be another one. And as far as the transfers go, Larry Simmons right off the bat is probably going to figure in pretty big at wide receiver. And that's really wide receiver and linebackers where you're going to see those new faces, and they're going to be transfers, of course. But those guys are going to be the new names you're going to have to learn. I think they're going to be impacted right away.
Pilo, there's been a couple comments come in that I think that listeners want.
Yeah, got a couple questions that bounced in. So USM Voice said, I'll throw it up there on the screen so you can see it as well. Wrong one. Let's see. How do you feel while we're doing filling the void with MJ safeties secondary?
Yeah, obviously extremely unfortunate situation, but they were really deep in the secondary this season. That's partly because all the injuries last year forced a lot of guys into playing time, and so there's just a ton of players coming back with starting experience. And of course, you lost Dave Franks as well already, but then you have the addition of Will James, and Braxton Myers is of course showing up as well. But Quez McNeil moving to safety, I think, is really really big for Southern Miss, and Elijah Sabatini coming back from that ACL. So at the moment, things look pretty good in the secondary. If I recall, this time last year, things looked pretty good in the secondary as well. 12 months ago, and they just kind of fell apart throughout the year. So, as with any season, they've got to stay together and they've got to stay healthy. But right now, I think they look fine.
Yep. Yeah, Jeremiah commented about that stuff. That was it was very tough. It pains me to even click that button to put it up there.
Yeah.
But, moving on.
Very bad. As a sidebar, again, Ted Campiso mentioned earlier that he went to Ohio for a concert with his wife over the summer. So before the episode's over, maybe we find out what that was. But do you guys have any guesses as to what concert Ted, who is probably Ted's in his 40s, right? Mm-hmm. Lives in New Orleans. Any idea? That's a long way to go for a concert. So you got to figure it's got to be a decently big size deal.
I'm going to go like a Zach Bryan or somebody.
I don't think I'm going to go like, I'm going to say, man, when you leave New Orleans, that's the deal. Everybody comes to New Orleans. So why would you have to go to Ohio? I'm going to say Imagine Dragons.
I'll go Lil Uzi.
Little Uzi?
Ted seems like an Uzi guy.
Ooh. He could be.
Ted, let us know.
He lives in New Orleans. Like fancy Uzis. Back to the depth chart questioning. So I want to get to that, and we'll get to maybe some things that Coach Hall has said so far in his pressers. But you graduated from Troy, and you've covered the Sun Belt for quite some time, longer than we've been a part of it. Southern Miss picked to finish next to last, just ahead of Louisiana Monroe, and that was by the coaches. And there's nobody giving Southern Miss much of a chance to do anything this year. Vegas has the over/under at 4.5. So what does Southern Miss have to do to be good? And where do you see the weaknesses on the team right now that might make us bad?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty simple as far as what Southern Miss needs to do to be good. You have to solve the 4-year quarterback battle that has to be resolved very, very quickly, and you have to stop giving up big plays. That's kind of been the thorn in Southern Miss's side for some time, and especially last year. The 4-2-5 defense kind of helps out with that a little bit, And then line of scrimmage play. I think the defensive line is going to be just fine. I think they're going to get back to what they were a year ago. The linebackers behind them are good. The offensive line, everything's going to hinge on that. I mean, that's your make or break. I think is how well the offensive line holds up, and it's especially important this season because you got wide receivers. You have no idea what they're going to do this season with Tate Rodemaker and the rest of the unit. So everything I think is going to revolve around that OL, and you've just got to figure out the offense. That is the main thing. If it doesn't click, Southern Miss is not going to be good this year. If it does, they've got a chance to go bowling again.
Yep, that's a great answer. I mean, so another thing new this year, Coach Hall kind of brought back the "they don't know" mantra. Started by Fedora in 2011, and I know he's been asked a lot about that and kind of made some comparisons back to it. But what exactly is that teams will know after playing this year's installment of Golden Eagles? Kind of, what do you think that they'll kind of go away with?
Yeah, what will they know?
Well, I think what you're going to see is a return to what that defense was maybe a couple years ago. I think that teams are going to step away and go, okay, Southern Miss is a little bit closer to that nasty bunch that we had gotten used to. That's going to be a big thing. And they're also going to know that the offense is going to be just way different. Of course, I don't know if it's going to click, if it's going to work, but there's going to be a lot of moving pieces in it. There's going to be players moving in and out quite often. They're going to be moving quickly. And so that's what they're going to know about Southern Miss. I think these games are going to be a lot more low scoring than they were a year ago, maybe closer to what they were 2 seasons ago. But that's going to be the takeaway from us, everybody.
So with the over-under of 4.5, where do you fall over or under there if you were going to one of the casinos? It's right down the street from your house. Do you think that we're 4.5 is are you going to take the over there? Are you going to take the under there?
I think at the moment I would take the over. I believe in my preseason predictions. I had 6-6 for Southern Miss, and that gives a game of leeway right there too. So yeah, I'd have to go over it. It really depends on the non-conference schedule because you've got, I think, 3 toss-ups at the moment with Jacksonville State and South Florida. I guess 2 toss-ups right there, but those are 2 really big toss-ups. You have to win one of those to get to 6, I think.
That is a kicker of the out of conference. I think you schedule these out of conference games so far in advance. And I would have to imagine that when we scheduled Jacksonville State, we didn't know that Rich Rod was going to be scoring 50 a game. And we didn't know that South Florida, who was a conference mate of ours for a long time, we didn't know that they were going to have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So, we do get South Florida at home. It's not like nobody can make the trip over to Jacksonville State. But, a decade ago, those games didn't seem as scary as they do to me now. I do like the fact that we get South Florida at home, and if the Rock, you've never seen the Rock, right? Like as it's, I don't think you've seen the Rock as it can be. It's been so long now. When that place is really rolling, it truly is. Everybody says it that it's hard to play at their home stadium, but it truly is. It's distinct advantage when Southern Miss has that place going. So hopefully we can get back to that, and maybe that gives us a little bit of an edge. But those 2 games are going to be super tough, and I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to this week, But after that, we mentioned last week that we think the first team that we're going to play in our weight class is probably going to be that South Florida game, and we'll see how that goes. So you mentioned something earlier about the portal. And I want to get your thoughts on the portal and just like, for instance, Troy is replacing, I think, 67 players this year, right? When Will Hall first got here, you could only sign 25 per year. It was down to we almost didn't have enough offensive linemen to even run a practice. And we kind of had to build it a little bit differently. But now, almost exactly the same time that Will Hall does get it built, everybody else gets like a fast pass, where they can just sign everybody. So how do you see that playing out? Do you like the portal? Do you like that you can do that? Do you wish it was the other way? And these teams that are replacing so many people, like Troy, like South Al, and probably some others. Texas State did it last year and worked out great. How do you see that playing out for those teams that I mentioned?
It's extremely hit or miss. I think that it hit with Texas State, but with some teams it doesn't hit at all. I think the transfer portal is fine. Obviously, the rules are changing too fast to even keep up with what they are right now. Of course, the news today is that we're looking at a potential transfer portal rule change with the spring window closing. So at the moment, I think that just it existing is fine, and allowing teams to build up their rosters as quick as possible is fine. Because at the end of the day, it's also a safety thing and a competitive thing. You don't want to end up in a situation like 2020, 2021 Southern Miss where you just kind of run out of players, and that's not good for the guys that are having to come in there gassed and they're not ready for FBS speed football. So. And it's just not good for the teams. It's not good for the schools either to be in that situation. So I think it's fine, and I think that it's okay, and it gives players more opportunity to play at other places. It could also put athletes in tough situations as well. But I think the portal itself is fine. How it will go for teams, I do not know. That has made previewing teams impossible. I look at Troy, and I have no idea. I couldn't tell you what's going to happen. I wrote 5 and 7, huge drop off. I couldn't tell you what's going to happen with them. They don't have a single player on their roster in their final year of eligibility who started at Troy. 0. They're the only team in the country at 0. So it is impossible to tell what they're going to be.
So most people we've talked to are penciling in, App State in the East, Texas State in the West. What are your predictions in that regard, and how does Southern Miss get into that conversation?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I have as well. I think that's kind of what it is. The East is a bit more of a crabs in a bucket division. I don't think there's a lot of separation from App State to Georgia Southern to James Madison. Then Coastal is going to be there, and Marshall's going to be lurking. The West, I see Texas State as a class above everyone else right now. 8 wins last year, and then they add the Sun Belt Player of the Year at quarterback. They're just ridiculously deep on the offensive line. They've got weapons. They've got the top running back. They've got like 3 of their 4 top receivers from last year back. They look like they're going to score 40 a game with ease. And then as far as what Southern Miss can do to get in that conversation is you've got to beat Louisiana and Arkansas State. That's the second tier of the West right there. And they're both a lot better than they were a year ago. Louisiana looks really strong. That's probably the best defense in the West. Arkansas State looks like they're going to score a ton of points. So you've got to it's a lot to ask, but you have got to pull off a couple of those upsets and hope that somebody else, if Southern Miss doesn't do it, takes down Texas State and puts Southern Miss in that position in November to sneak up on them.
Do you think Southern Miss finally gets off the schneid and beats South Al this year?
Yeah, I think I actually have them beating South Alabama. I don't like the Jags this season.
It's got to happen at some point, right?
Has to.
Yeah.
Dear God, please.
I have Southern Miss. Yeah, I do have Southern Miss winning that game this year. And of course, it'll be in Hattiesburg. Very different Jaguar team. Gio Lopez is really nice at quarterback, but they lose a lot. Of course, they lost the head coach as well. They're going to stick with that same defense, though. I don't like South Alabama much. I don't know what happened to them last year. That's by SP Plus, they were the second best team in the Sun Belt. They went 6-6. Curb stomped the Big 12 runner-up, went 6-6. I don't really know, but they lost everybody from that team. So I'm not huge on them this year.
Yeah. So circling back around to Ted, we all guessed, and drum roll.
We got it wrong. We got it very wrong.
Yeah, it was. If I can find my drum roll here, I'm out of practice. I'm just gonna throw it up. Go ahead, Jason.
Sorry. So Ted has chimed in. Sorry, guys. It was Steven or Stefan. That's how much I know this guy. Steven Sanchez at the Ohio State Fair. I can honestly say it was a really great show. Dirty Sanchez.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
And this is the second part of that. His wife.
He wasn't coming to New Orleans.
Wasn't
coming. How good can he be? How good can he really be? If you're not coming to New Orleans, it's like the music capital of the world. Speaking of music, so I'm in Tupelo right now. I haven't been here in forever. So after work today, I was like, I wonder where Elvis's house is, right? So I Googled it, and it's like 5 minutes away from where I'm staying. So I went over there and checked it out. It's more than I thought. I thought it was just going to be one street with the house, and there it is. There's more to it. You can walk through. I got there after the tours were done, but got a few pictures that I'm not positive I was supposed to go get. And it's maybe swing back by there tomorrow and grab a souvenir or something. But it was neat. Tupelo's cool. I didn't think Tupelo was as cool as it is.
It is a cool town.
Tupelo's pretty cool. It's forever away from Hattiesburg. I feel like I go to like Illinois, but it's pretty cool. Any other comments?
Yeah, here we go, Scott. Better town, Troy or Hattiesburg? I'll answer for you. It's Hattiesburg. Troy sucks.
Yeah,
love that.
The whole town. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
That's a great question, Phil. This one a little more. What game are we looking forward to the most?
Man, I think that towards the end, I don't have the schedule pulled up right now, but is Troy the very last game of the season?
Yeah.
I think it would be that one if it's still a relevant game. My first game that I'm looking the most forward to is probably South Florida. I want to watch this week. The very first game of the year is fantastic, and we're all probably scheduling watch parties somewhere or have got tickets to go to the game. I know a lot of people are doing that. The first home game is something to look forward to, but I think we all expect that one to be one-sided. And so, yeah, that South Florida game, I think, is my first one that I'm looking most forward to. And if we can somehow get through that 2-2, hopefully 3-1, but definitely 2-2 through those first 4 games, I think then we've got a chance for that last game of the year to be relevant.
Yeah, I would have to go. I'm going to go with Marshall. I enjoyed playing them. Glad to have them back in the Rock. I think that'll be a great game. I always enjoy playing Louisiana. So good to see some of those guys. Maybe we'll maybe the Raging Review guys will make the trip over. Should be another good game. It'll be October, so hopefully it won't be 100 degrees by then, but we'll see. What up, Derek?
Yeah, Derek, thanks for joining in. Hattiesburg Hippie has also joined in the chat. Aaron Rodgers said that 30,000 at the Rock sounds like 70,000, but then again, he might have dosed that night. So,
Burner's gonna burn her, man.
That's very true. It's hard to argue. To argue with that. Hey, Scott, and we're not going to keep you all night long. I know you have important things to do, but this week's game, Kentucky. Is there a specific matchup you're looking forward to seeing how it plays out versus Kentucky?
If you have seen my tweet this morning, I actually watched the 2016 game all the way through for the first time. So that was a lot of fun. And I did that. We're gonna actually have a story tomorrow morning where basically I take some notes from that game, some notes from I've covered 3 Sun Belt over Power 5 upsets in my career so far, and some notes from other Sun Belt upsets as well. And kind of wrote out. We got a story coming where I basically this is the path to a potential upset. How you stun somebody.
Cool.
I think the biggest matchup specifically that I'm looking forward to is probably the defensive line against the offensive line. Kentucky's got 156 starts back on that front. They're extremely experienced. So that's going to be fun. And then the big one is probably going to be, what does this new 5-man secondary look like? Because you're going to get tested against 3 explosive wide receivers. One of those guys had 1,100 yards at Texas last year. So they're going to be very downfield. They're going to look to bomb. So that's going to be huge. Watching how the secondary holds up against them. Those are the 2 biggest matchups that I think that are probably the most important for this game.
How many Southern Miss quarterbacks take snap?
I wouldn't be upset if Ethan Crawford did get some playing time.
Yep.
I think that in a game like this, you can afford it as well. And there's also a world where, things get out of hand and you get to that second half and it's not 28-10. It's 35-3 or something. And then maybe you go a different route.
Well, which by the way, that's what it was last time. Right? At
It was
halftime.
what? Yeah, I think it was. It might have been no. It was I think it was
35-10, wasn't it?
No, because Southern Miss scored on its opening drive and then a 70-yard bomb right before the half. So I think it was 17. I think it was 35-17.
Oh, okay.
Over under. We'll start with rushing yards. Over under 120 rushing yards for Southern Miss this weekend.
I'm gonna go under. Very good defensive line that Kentucky has. I don't think you have to go over to win this game.
Mhm.
That would be huge. It would go a long way. But I'm gonna go under.
Pila?
Yeah, over under on passing. We're gonna do that at 220.
Ooh, that's a much better one. That is a much better one. I'm gonna go under for right now, but I think it's gonna be close.
So if we go under on 120 and under on 220, it's not
I
sounding
think
great.
I think you get 100. I think you get 210, and you're looking at just over 300, and the defense plays fine. The way to win this game is to keep it, low scoring. That's the key.
Speaking of the score, final score is
We're gonna go with 31-14 Kentucky.
31-14. I think I would take that, especially if there's a couple late scores that make that 31-14, right? It's finally gotten to the point in Southern Miss land where I think that we could take some moral victories. And hopefully we get past that and when we get back to the point to where there are no moral victories. But right now, let's just be honest, where we are. Won 3 games last year. So that's it. Scotty, man, that's about all that we have for you. But before you go, tell the listeners where they can read your stuff and how they can sign up for subscriptions and all that.
You just go to sunherald.com, click on our stories. I'm sure you can sign up through there. And of course, I'm tweeting at Scott Watkins, TU. And you can see everything there, too.
Fantastic. Well, buddy, appreciate it. Thank you so very much. And I know this is going to pain you, but Southern Miss.
To the top.
Woo. There he goes. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Scott.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Yep. There he goes. Scott Watkins, man. He's just a pro.
Yeah.
Right? It's so easy to talk to him and sometimes guests that we have, they ask, like, hey, what are you going to ask me? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'll send them some kind of little outline. Scott's never that guy. Scott's just, hey,
Yep.
we're good. I called him a couple minutes, maybe 15 minutes before we started. And I said, look, I think this live thing might work out tonight. So if that's cool, if it does, then are you comfortable with that? And he was like, sure, whatever you guys need. So
Yeah.
great guy. Very realistic. I know he's not a homer, but he's not even a homer about Troy. He wants Troy to do well because this is alma mater, but
Yeah, for sure.
he's just very down to earth about all of it and very fact based. So appreciate him hopping on, and a hell of a writer, a journalist.
Yep.
So
Before we jump back into it, let's take a 30-second break.
okay.
We'll be back.
And we're back. Pilo, I'm sure if anybody is watching on any of the feeds, they can see my hat. This hat is available. It's, we've said it a million times. We don't make a lot of money on this. We hardly make it. We just want people to get it,
Yep.
So it's that is $20. Tell people how they can go and
Yeah,
do that.
definitely. So I'm going to throw up a banner for those watching video. You'll be able to see that. Here we go. So yeah, it's bonfire.com/store/to-the-top-talk, or you can go to any of our Linktree links on any of our social networks and click that. Yeah, $20. I mean, we're making, very little over cost here. We don't really do it for the money. We just like to do it. So I like to give you guys some different options out there. There are a lot of football shirts and some tailgating type shirts out there from last year. And I think we may be having a couple of designs coming out soon. So stay tuned on that. Kind of keep checking back on that. And we'll probably be tweeting out more about that soon.
That's my new mantra. I like to do it.
Yeah.
Will Hall does attitude is everything, and they don't know. Mine likes to do it on my headstone. Maybe I should go on there.
Likes to do
Jason
it.
Bailey. Like to do it. Yeah. Let's get to the football pick'em.
Let's do it. Let me get a little tunes going while we're doing that.
Yeah,
I'll
and
flip
this
over.
is gonna be quick because I have no insight whatsoever. So my
Yeah, well,
picks are gonna be
luckily
quick.
this week, midweek into the season, it sometimes can be pretty tricky. These are pretty straightforward. I really didn't kind of struggle. So here we go. Let's see. We are kicking it off Thursday night, 6 o'clock. We have Jackson State at Monroe.
Monroe.
Love it. And I will go Monroe as well to kick it off. Another Thursday night game will be this one will be the one to watch on Thursday night. Coastal Carolina at Jacksonville State. So that one will be good to watch. It'll be CBS Sports. So
At Jacksonville State. I'm going Jacksonville State.
And I'm going to go Coastal. I think it's going to be really close. The spread there, I think, was pretty minimal, like less than 3 points right now. So I'm going to go Coastal. And then kicking it off for Saturday, let's see, that's Eastern Tennessee State is traveling to Boone to play App State.
Oh, App.
Yep, and I will go App State as well. That was pretty easy. Following that up will be Boise State at Georgia Southern. So down in Statesboro.
Well, I'd like to see Georgia Southern do something, but Boise's they're kind of a blue blood at this point, so I'm going Boise.
Yep, and I went Boise as well. Let's see. We have Old Dominion traveling to South Carolina. So kicking off with the Gamecocks.
South Carolina.
Yes.
I mean, you can't not do that, right? So
sorry, Old Dominion. Next up, we have Stony Brook traveling to Marshall.
Marshall.
Yep.
I like Marshall.
I do too.
I like pulling for Marshall when they're not playing us. It's not one of those fan bases that I can automatically hate.
Like, and I would say, like, behind the Tack Eagle and some of our retro logos, they have the best retro logo in the Sun Belt with their old kind of bison or whatever it is with like the hat. It's fantastic. Let's look it up. Next up, we have a former Conference USA mate versus South Alabama. So that is North Texas traveling to Mobile to play the Jaguars.
North Texas.
Same. Easiest pick I had tonight. You will never hear me pick South Alabama in anything. Next up, we heard a little bit about this on the Sunbelt Syndicate, but we have Nevada coming to Troy.
I'm pulling for Troy, so I'm picking Troy. I have zero insight outside of the fact that I know Troy has all new people, and I know where Nevada is on a map.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of change. I'm going to go Nevada here. I mean, again, I think Troy has a lot of question marks. I mean, I know Nevada is not going to be like stellar. Troy was a good team last year, but I don't know. They're not past losing some games at Troy, so I think I'm going to go with Nevada. Staying in the state of Arkansas, we have Central Arkansas at Arkansas State.
Arkansas State.
And I'm going to go Ark State as well. We'll skip ours for last. We have Lamar traveling to Texas State.
Texas State by 100 points.
Yes. And then Grambling is traveling to Louisiana. Lafayette.
Louisiana. That's right down the road.
Yep. And two more. I didn't realize they were playing this week. So we have Georgia State at Georgia Tech.
So you went ULL there?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I went Louisiana as well. We have Georgia State playing at Georgia Tech. The Rambling Wreck coming off a big win.
Georgia Tech.
Yeah. I got.
They might run for 500 yards.
Yes, it might get really ugly. Wait, both of those are in Atlanta, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting.
Wonder who's
Not
gonna
too
have more
far
fans.
apart. And we have James Madison traveling to Charlotte.
Ooh, James Madison.
Yes, and I picked Georgia Tech as well, and I'm going to go with James Madison on that. And that leads us to the final game, the Golden Eagles at Kentucky.
Taking Kentucky. You know, I know you're going to take Southern Miss, and there's just another. This is one of those I'm going to try to get off. You know, obviously I hope I'm wrong by a ton, but I'm taking Kentucky just because I know you can't. So.
Yep, and I'm going to pick the Eagles. Maybe not by 90, but I'll take it by 1.
Yeah. So will I.
Yeah.
There's nothing more that I would like to do than be wrong.
How about that? That is our first SBC pick'em. So
stay tuned
lunch
for that. From last year. So.
Yeah, you do, because we went to do that and then we got a free lunch. So
I know.
Not that I'm keeping notes, but yeah. Maybe whenever Vicious Biscuits opens up and our good friend Cliff Russell gets that rolling, we'll go eat breakfast.
I'm down.
Vicious Biscuit. So we'll keep up with this every week, and if we have another a guest on, we'll get their picks as well. We'll kind of keep track of this all season long. And reminder, I did win last year, so
yeah, you did.
Good luck.
I always lose. Tweet, and if you want to get in here and actually have your voice heard, time's running out.
Yeah,
I know we've been rambling on, and we had a guest, and you probably didn't want to butt in. But if you want to get in, great. If you don't, keep commenting. We enjoy it. However it happens. Tweet of the week. I went with from Sam Sklar with the Hattiesburg American. You can follow him at SKLARSAM_. He tweeted out hashtag Southern Miss football will be wearing a number 11 helmet patches this season to honor MJ Daniels. And then he has an excerpt that he pulled from the release. Playing for MJ, the Golden Eagles have dedicated this season to fallen teammate MJ Daniels from Lucedale, Mississippi, whose life was taken from him earlier this summer. Daniels played for the Golden Eagles in 2023 after transferring from Ole Miss. Daniels registered 28 tackles for Southern Miss last season and tied a team high with 3 interceptions along with 4 pass breakups and 2 forced fumbles. The Golden Eagles will wear a number 11 patch on their helmets as well as enter the field with his jersey during the season. So, and it has the little patch right there on the tweet. So, yeah. Matt, we've talked about it a couple times, and we've made reference to it. And I'm not great at that kind of stuff, but obviously MJ
tough
is
situation.
Number one, he's just such a good guy, you know. Number two, man, he's like a all conference type of player, and probably going to go in the NFL draft. So not only is it just tragic to lose anybody like that, but hell of a football player. And we're going to miss him football wise as well. I know that's secondary, but it's you're looking at you're just looking at the season right around the corner here, and it just sucks, man. It sucks he's not going to be a part of it, and it sucks that he's gone. So, but I thought that was the tweet of the week. We do have a few other sports news to get here. Then we're going to shut it down. Looks like we just reached an hour, so we're going to shut it down pretty quick. Soccer, ladies soccer. The ladies are now 1-1 after a win over Mississippi Valley State. They won that game 5-0. Then they lost 6-0 to Auburn. Auburn is nationally ranked at number 15 in the country. Next up for Southern Miss is at Alabama on September 1st at 6 p.m. We made reference to this at least one other time on the show, but in men's basketball, Jay Ladner took a trip over to Kuwait. He has returned home. The deal over there was it was part of Operation Hardwood Classic. That was a basketball tournament at Camp RF John in Kuwait.
Sounds good to me.
Yep, says it was a little bit what it spelled like. 8 coaches volunteered their time for this. They were John Brady, Pete Carroll, Tim Floyd, Greg Foster, Joe Golding, Jeff Jones, and Jim Wooldridge. So it was cool for Coach Ladner to be a part of that, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And he had a quote in the story in the release that Southern Miss had. It says, "I was very honored to be able to spend time with our troops in Kuwait as part of the Troops First program." Ladner said, "I'm very grateful to be an American. If every American had a chance to experience what I did, they would have a deep respect for the job our troops do over there. I have incredible respect and admiration for them and was honored to be there with them," said Ladner. So very cool. Very neat that he got that opportunity. In tennis news, the men's and women's tennis teams are recognized for their academic successes. Both teams were named ITA All Academic Teams based on their cumulative team GPAs being over a 3.2. Mine never threatened that. The golf schedule was released. We talked about that first tournament of the year, but Pilo, do you want to fill everybody in on where the golf team will be playing this fall?
Yeah. So men's golf will be playing a couple tournaments. They play 4 tournaments during the fall semester. And so we're looking at kicking that off with the Jim Rivers Intercollegiate. Then on the 16th of September, they travel to the Bearcat Invitational, and then the Badger Invitational, and then they end the fall kind of season with the Fallen Oak Collegiate, which
you just got back from, right?
Yeah, you better not miss a fairway. That's all I got to say. I have never played at a course with Bermuda rough that's 5 inches deep, and if you're 6 inches off the fairway, you cannot find your golf ball. I lost 5 golf balls, and that never happens. Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm in the trees. I mean, you're a foot off the fairway, you can't find the ball. It just completely falls to the bottom, and yeah, it was miserable, but good time. But man, you better be able to keep it in the fairway. And there's some tight fairways there, but yeah, it was
long too. Right?
Yeah, very long. The front 9 was, way too long for me.
Right. Before we get to our shout outs, I'd like to remind everybody to go to tototopcollective.com. It's very important. The membership continues to grow. Just get on board with this thing. You can get in as low of a level as $17 per month. There's 17 sports at Southern Miss, so that's where they came up with the 17. And there's other stuff you can do as well. We're going to have a hand in that. I think once the season gets rolling and the home games in particular get rolling, we're going to participate a little bit more in that, doing some interviews and lending a hand, doing what we can do, right? We do what we can do. Everybody else does what they can do. We start pulling on this rope in the same direction, and it's going to be remarkable what a city like Hattiesburg can do with something like the Collective. So go there and check it out, and just go type it in and just browse around and if there's anything that you like. If you have any questions, hit us up, and I can direct you to Pilo, and he can direct you to Peter.
Yeah. But the new website is up and live, and if you're a member, the digital aspect of kind of behind the scenes and a lot of that stuff is now live for members. So make sure if you're a member and you didn't know that, go check it out. Go check the website in. You'll have a login. You'll be able to create an account. And there's some good content there, and there will be a lot more coming.
Shout outs, Pilo. What you got?
Yeah, let me hit him with a little music. Yeah, so first off, good buddy, friend of the show, been on the show lots of times, almost died on the show, Trey Sutton, struck by lightning.
He almost went straight Wonder Boy on us.
Yeah, he did. We got invited to go to alumni weekend up at Truist Park up with the Braves. And man, we got to see some like legends, Dale Murphy, and a lot of coaches, and
I'm not jealous at all.
It was pretty awesome. I did not expect to see Ron Kolesko, but I did. So it was a good time. A couple other guys made the trip. Derek Winstead, who, thanks to Derek, got me back addicted to trading cards and baseball cards. So I have some pretty sweet Southern Miss baseball cards that are being shipped to me. And next time we are live, I'll hold them up and we'll show them because they're awesome. Derek, Miles Smith, Schaefer Smith, and Boston Little, along with Trey. We had a great time. Saw 2 games, saw 2 wins. Had to head back on Sunday and listen to it, and we didn't win. So sorry, Braves fans, but we took care of it. So shout out to all those guys. It was a great time. Also, shout out to Charlie Wallace. I talked to him some this week too. It was good to chat with him again outside of baseball season. So looking forward to the season and getting to see everybody at the Rock.
No doubt. I will give a few shout outs. There's a bunch that I saw at that camp. I mentioned some of them earlier, but Matt Adams just did great the entire day. And he was our group leader for the father-son camp. And it was very, very cool to be able to hang out with him. Matt Russo, he actually took a video of me when I was in the cage taking swings. I think he sent it to Pilo. Told me he was going to tweet it out, which I don't care. But there were 3 really bad swings, is all I remember. So Davis Gillespie is flipping these things. I'm a little nervous. 47 years old, right? I hadn't taken a round of BP since probably my mid-30s.
Right.
Anyway, my son, that's 8, hit way better than I did. But it was good to see Russo. Some other guys off the top of my head, Pato was out there. Lad Rhodes came up and spoke to me, and we chatted for a little bit. Todd Makovica and Carly, of course, they gave the tour of the locker room and all of the inside area, which is so nice. My first time to do it.
Yeah.
I'd never been in the building. They couldn't believe that. I was like, why? I don't work here. Anyway, former Golden Eagle great Michael Artman, who I actually played with back in the day, he was there with his 2 sons, and so he was going through the same drills that everybody else was. One of the fastest guys, Michael Artman, like on pro day, he's one of those guys you're like, they run 2 at a time, and you're like, I hope I don't run with him. He's like 6'4", like 6'3" or 6'4" in the 60. I'm like 7'2". It's a massacre. Kevin Rogers chimed in before we started. He's actually in Biloxi tonight, watching Matt Etzel play. So Matt, former Golden Eagle center fielder, is playing with the Montgomery Biscuits, and they're playing versus the Shuckers tonight in Biloxi. So,
cool.
Shout out to Kevin down there watching that. There was a dad in Group 2 at that father-son camp with me. He recognized me and introduced himself, and I didn't quite get his name because I'm horrible at that. I'm pretty sure his name was Trevin, but I don't know why I think that. So if you listen to that, he said he listens, so if he does listen, hit me up so I can get that shout out right next week. But I do appreciate you speaking up and listening to the show, of course. I just have a really bad memory, so I forgot. And then finally, shout out to Coach Oz. What a great man! Just to lead our program, to lead just to represent the city, and really, really, really great guy. And that's about all that I have. Pila, you got anything else?
Man, I'm good. It was good. I think we did good on the audio and everything with the live. I didn't hear anybody saying can't hear anything, so we're 1 for 1 on the season so far. Unfortunately, didn't get anybody on, but I know with a guest, it would be weird just to throw everybody in there. And I think once the season gets going, we're going to be a lot more interactive with the lives, and so y'all stay tuned for that. And man,
yeah. So I guess we should decide right now. After the Kentucky game, are we doing it?
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay, so after Kentucky, we will go live. It'll be strictly call in. There'll be no notes. We're
just gonna hang out, reaction, talk about it. Hopefully celebrating, and we'll see. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Let's do it. This episode brought to you by Katie Bailey with Dunbar Real Estate. Something to show, something to list, something to sell. Call Katie today at 601-408-9980. Katie Bailey, your real estate agent for the Pine Belt. Any house, anywhere, anytime. Call today. Yeah. Whatever. Thanks for listening today, whatever day you might have listened to, whichever platform you chose to listen in on. Remember, you can follow me at Bumper J. Bailey and Patrick at P. Lowry. Follow us on all the social at To The Top Talk. And don't forget about the mailbag, to the top talk at gmail.com. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Tell somebody to the top today. And as always, Southern Miss.
To the top.
Talk.
Why you mad?
Why you mad?
I could play
Deuces.
for Alabama,
See you guys.
Steady.
USC.